Here's a particular integral that's going to have a result involving sine, but it's not because we have trig functions. Just look at this integral right here. We have e to the pi minus 1 times this integral from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2 and all these trig functions. And actually, this was part of the evil integral on dailyintegral.com. I highly suggest you go try and solve this because it was a wild one. So let's go ahead and get started. Well, I see a tangent on the top and I see a bunch of tangents here. So let's go ahead and factor out a tangent. That's going to give me e to the pi minus 1. We have this integral right here. And then when you factor out a tangent on the bottom, we have tangent x, and then we have tangent to the power of 4x plus 1. And then on the top, I'm just gonna go ahead and factor out a tangent so that I have tangent squared x, and then secant squared x with x right there. Okay, you notice the tangents cancel out. So now what we have as we continue, we have this on top, which is gonna be an even function because you have squared and you have squared in those parts. And then you have an even function on the bottom. So this entire integral is even so that I can go ahead and split this up 2 times e to the pi minus 1 times the integral from 0 to pi over 2 of simply tangent squared x, secant squared x all over tangent to the 4th x plus 1 with respect to x. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and do a substitution. We're gonna go ahead and make u equal to tangent of x, and that's gonna be pretty simple because our du is secant squared x dx, and we have that right here. That's actually what we need. That's perfect. So now let's go ahead and change our parameters. Well, when x is equal to 0, u will equal tangent of 0, and that's just gonna be 0. But when x is equal to pi over 2, you have to know the graph of tangent because tangent of pi over 2 has a vertical asymptote. In other words, this doesn't necessarily equal infinity, but it approaches infinity, and that's gonna be important to know. So now let's go ahead and start rewriting this integral. So now we have 2 e to the pi minus 1, integral from 0 to infinity, and don't forget, this is u squared, and then we have our du, I'm just gonna put that in the front, and then we have u to the power of 4 plus 1, u to the power of 4 plus 1 with respect to u. Now, this is where things get really interesting. This you cannot solve using partial fraction decomposition. You can try to do some tricks, but it's not gonna work because it has a nice result. This is the integral right here. This integral is equal to this expression, and so this is cosecant, really it's 1 over sine. This comes from the beta function. I can definitely talk about that later on. But in this case, our m will be 3 because 3 minus 1 is 2, and then our n is gonna be 4. So let's go ahead and plug that into our result. So this gives us t e to the pi minus 1 times pi over 4, that was our n value, and then we have the cosecant of 3 pi over 4, it's 2 over root 2, the 4's cancel out, and we get this expression right here, and that is part 1 of 3 of the evil integral.